Dude, that's why I love running so much, is because
Yes.
it's the perfect time to just be by yourself
Mm-hmm.
and have that solitude. And I love running with people and going to group runs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and that's fun. But I think I honestly just prefer going out for a run by myself. Go and log 90 minutes, 2 hours, just out, no headphones, no phone, nothing, just
Yeah.
like just thinking. And because you have to be so present and like hyper focused on what you're doing in that
Yes.
moment. And nowadays, especially like TikTok and Instagram and all this shit, like it's just so hard to find complete solitude like that.
Yeah, yeah, like that's literally why I enjoy it so much. And I had a problem with that at first when I started running. I couldn't run without headphones or a phone. It was ridiculous, like, because I hated it. I didn't want to sit there. I didn't want to be with my thoughts and like those negative thoughts. I'm sure you know how it is. Like those negative thoughts come in later in a long run or something, and it's like it's giving you every way out. And I didn't want to face that, so I'd have to be motivated with music or a podcast or something like that. And then I paid for it on my first marathon because I remember I was completely unprepared for it. I didn't train as nearly as hard or long as I should have, and I cramped up at mile 20, and I had 6 miles of rolling hills and headwinds with a leg that I couldn't bend and excruciating pain.
Jeez.
And the music, this is the I had music in because at that time I wasn't running without music. For some reason, the playlist that I had was just playing the same 4 songs the entire time. So for that I had to take them out because the entire marathon, I realized that they were just repeating the same songs at the beginning, and I didn't want to stop and I had it on my arm and take it out and mess with it. So I just listened to the same 4 songs. Now this happens with my leg cramping up. And I'm like, I can't, like, it was driving me nuts. So I took it out. So for 6 miles in the back country roads of Texas, I'm like limping to get to the finish line. And when I tell you I was probably in the darkest place in my life, like I went in the depths of my mind, and every negative, like I faced every negative and insecurity like that I could possibly imagine. And I was forced to be present and talk myself out of it. And then after that, I was like, that's it. No more music. And I forced myself, and it was weird the first couple of times running without it. And now I'm like, I can't even picture. It's been like about a year and a half now, never running with music. And like, I don't think I could ever go back to it.
Dude, that's wild.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. I was at the same race as you.
Yes.
I mean, I remember seeing you, and I was like, now thinking about it, I'm like, there's no way. I would have never guessed that's what was going through your mind in that moment.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the greatest part about running.
Yeah.
Is there's no other way, at least in my experience, to get to that point where like it doesn't have to just be running, but some physical endeavor, like whether it's CrossFit or an ultramarathon or an Ironman, whatever, like to put yourself physically into a state where you're just so uncomfortable that your mind starts asking so many questions. And like a lot of times it's those why questions of like, why am I out here doing this? And a lot of times it even goes further of like, just like, what's my purpose in life? Like it gets weird sometimes.
Yeah.
When you are doing these long races, because you've done how many marathons now? 2?
2. I was in prep for a 3rd. I've done 2 halves. So.
When things get tough in that moment during a race or just in life in general, do you have like a thing you tell yourself when you start asking yourself those why questions? Do you have an answer for those?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, why am I doing this? Or like, why should I keep moving forward? It doesn't even have to be during a race or something, but
it kind of goes back to like what I was saying at the beginning. It's like, if you quit now, you're creating a habit. Right. You're going to create a habit to quit. If you quit in training, you're going to quit in life. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Because like marathons for me and running, it's not about the marathon. Like don't get me wrong. It's fun seeing that hard work pay off, crossing the finish line, but it's a moment. It ends like this. And believe it or not, the worst parts for me, like the most unenjoyable parts about marathon training is the week before and the week after. You want to know why? Because there's no running. It's less running the week before, and you really don't run usually like the week after. I enjoy that whole process of running during the journey to get there, because I'm learning about myself and I'm learning my why, and I'm learning, like, I'm constantly pushing myself and seeing how far I could go. And that's what I remind myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Because it's not about the medal. It's not about a finishing time. It's about proving to yourself that you're stronger than you think, especially coming from being an inconfident little lazy kid. I had those, like, that's a hard habit to break. Like, it's that negative self-talk. And I had that my entire life. And now I'm like just dead set on never, ever talking to myself that way, the way that I used to again. So that's like my big why, is reminding myself like how much talent I've wasted, how much time I've wasted on like counting myself out before I even towed the line. So now it's like, we're going to show what we could do if you believe in yourself.
Yeah, man. I think you kind of talked about the prep for a marathon and the training. That's where all the growth is. Like, the race is easy. Like, you've got people running around you. You've got the crowds. You've got, the incentive of like, you get a medal and you get to finish the race and you can take a photo afterwards, all this stuff. But it's 100% the training where all the growth happens, because you're waking up at 5, 6 a.m., going outside by yourself in the cold most of the time. Like, you don't want to. It's 5, 6 days a week. And that's just where all the growth happens. That's where all the progress is made.